Let's record. Woohoo! So we want to welcome everybody to the 8th Chakra Tuesday night call that is always on Tuesday nights, except when it's not, because actually we have had an occasional time when it wasn't. That's a long time ago. But this is our Raising Your Frequency series, and we are so excited to welcome you here. This has been an 8-week program. We are on week 5, I think, of this program, and our Tuesday night call is our flagship product. It is the thing that Lily and I started in the very beginning because we wanted to have these everyday conversations with people where we could talk about spiritual things and really connect with who we are here in the physical as spiritual beings. And it is such an amazing program. It has done nothing but go up in frequency over the last 2.5 years. And we couldn't put a price on it, so we don't even bother. We actually love to give it as a gift to everybody in the community. So please tell your friends, tell your loved ones for sure. So we co-founded the 8th Chakra Company with the purpose of helping us all master what it is to be human. And we do this call so that you all can connect with some more information. Tonight we're going to be talking about alchemy, keycodes, and healing. It is definitely a topic that Lily and I know tons about, and we are so excited to have all of you here.
Oh my goodness, yes. And speaking of Bonnie and I knowing a tons about alchemy, we both have been studying alchemy for lifetimes and lifetimes, and we study it on the astral plane and we study it in the physical plane. And so we're definitely well equipped to do that. But as with everything that we teach, one of the things that makes us very unique is that we don't pretend to know it all, and we don't pretend that we are the ones that you have to come to for information. In fact, what we want you to do is to access your own information. And that's what really makes us different, is that we teach you, we share with you how we've accessed our own information, and we make it possible for you to see the light about that for yourself so that you can also work on accessing your own information and relying solely on that. But these calls are wonderful because we don't do them by ourselves. Thank goodness we don't do them by ourselves. We are always guided by and accompanied by the masters and teachers in the Akashic realm, the ascended masters, and the entire angelic realm, which Bonnie and I have had a huge relationship with for a long time. And in fact, just before starting this call, when we opened the records, which we always do for our Tuesday night calls, we open the records for you, the community that is here on this call, whether you're here live or listening to us on a recording. We opened the records and we both immediately got so present to the entire angelic realm being here. And it was like they were lined up, blessing us and like cheering us on and making sure that we knew that we're on the right path and that we're doing a phenomenal job making this kind of opportunity and conversation available for you. So that really is what makes us different. You're not going to find this kind of conversation anywhere else in the entire planet.
We're also not going to have nearly as much fun. And we do set an intention every Tuesday night. So we really would love for you to walk away with more wisdom, more understanding, and the power of alchemical energy healing, you know, what it is, how it works, how you can practice it, and how important it is to the whole process that we're going through here on the planet. So as Lily said, before we got on the call, before we get on a call every week, we always open the Akashic Records for the community. What we're going to be doing tonight is the first half of the call. We are looking for your participation in this conversation. We'd love to have you ask questions. If you're not comfortable asking questions, actually speaking or being seen, you can always type them in the chat. We've already had one come through. And otherwise, you can raise your hand. You do that by bringing your mouse down to the bottom of your screen, and you will see where you can raise your hand. And Jessica, I certainly appreciate you having your hand already raised so we can see what that looks like. And we're going to have some discussion here for the first half an hour, and then the second half an hour is really when we bring in some wisdom and some information. A ton of healing is going to happen tonight. Of course, when the word healing is in the title, you have no doubt, but we have already been getting some information about what is going to be happening. So if you stay through the whole call, you'll get the healing. If you don't stay through the whole call, you'll still get the healing. Bonus.
You can't lose. You just can't not win in this conversation.
That is absolutely true. So we are, did I just talk over you? How? It's really funny because I'm like, wait, this is a duplicate.
Well, let's just make sure everybody's clear on how you're going to participate. The first half hour, we do want to hear from you. But, I always joking about how we spend enough time together and hear each other. So we have a lineup of things we want to bring up about this topic. But we want to hear from you. We want to make sure that we address your questions, because when we do start bringing in the messages in the second half hour of the call, a lot of times the way that the masters and teachers respond, or the message that they deliver, a lot of times they're associated with the questions that you ask. So it's important. So how do you participate? Is you raise your hand. And like Bonnie said, Jessica had already raised her hand. At the bottom of your screen, you'll see where it says participants. If you click on participants, you'll get a little window on the right-hand side, and then you'll see the sign, the little button that says raise the hand. And some of you might have it on the bottom of the screen. I think they had changed that recently, and I'm a host, so I don't always see the screen, but it's either you click on participants and you raise your hand, or on the bottom. And there's also a chat button on the bottom of the screen if you scroll over underneath where your video would be. And we do have all of you videos disabled because it would be a little bit too confusing with everybody jumping on there. But so when we call on you and you raise your hand, we will unmute you. And sometimes you might unmute yourself if we're having difficulty on our end. Sometimes that happens. So make sure you raise your hand. We want to hear from you.
All right, let's jump in. Can we do that now?
We can. Let's go ahead and start. Let's get this baby rolling. So what is alchemy, Bonnie? I know you're just dying to talk about what alchemy is.
Well, I'm really new to this whole conversation, so I'm going to bring the new perspective into it. And Lily, I know you've been around this for a really long time and done this stuff, so you can pick up the pieces behind me that I that I mess up. So to me, the easiest description I have for alchemy is using higher frequencies like love and joy and bliss and inspiration frequencies, radiance frequencies, things that are really high vibrating frequencies. We actually use those to alchemize low frequencies. So we bring in a high frequency like love, and when love meets pain, it starts to shift the energy behind it. And so the pain starts to dissolve. It's one of those really interesting aspects about energy healing that every once in a while I bump into a bit of my own atheist energy that says this stuff can't be real. This is just a bunch of hooey. And so I'm like, really? How could something as simple as love alchemize fear or pain? But if you think about it and put it in very practical terms for your own life, if there is somebody you're really aggravated with, you're angry with over something, when you can remember how much you love them, when you are grateful for them, when you have a lot of appreciation that they're there in your life, suddenly that anger starts to dissipate. And so it's a way that we can start to see it in a very practical, real world example. But alchemy is very much energy healing. Go ahead, Lily. Pick up my case.
So everything that you said, of course, is absolutely the case. And I love that you're simplifying it so much, because my tendency is to maybe overcomplicate. So I'm really glad that you're using such, it's just so easy to understand that love can alchemize fear, and it's through vibrations. But I know you've accused me, well, accuse is not the right word, but you've labeled me as being the more scientific of the two of us. I don't really know how accurate that is, but I am going to throw a little bit of science in here, because I think that there's probably people on the call that that like to hear that scientific aspect of it. So when you say, Bonnie, well, how can this be that love alchemizes fear? Or how can it be that it transforms it or that it transmutes it? But if you look at it from a scientific standpoint, where everything is energy and everything has vibration and everything has a frequency, there's a phenomenon in physics called entrainment. And what entrainment, and it's actually, you can look it up, it's a definition, it's a scientific word. And what entrainment means is that when you have an amount of vibration or matter or energy that's vibrating at a low level, okay, and then you put in something that's vibrating at a high frequency, that high frequency pulls up the low frequency. It's called entrainment. It's a physical phenomenon. It pulls it up. And so when it pulls it up, it actually pulls it up enough that the lower frequency gets absorbed into the higher frequency and disappears into the higher frequency, becoming the higher frequency. So that's a little bit of an explanation of how a high frequency vibration like love can transform fear, because it literally lifts it up and the fear literally disappears into the love, becoming love. It can't work the other way around. Physically, it's not possible. So there's like a physical law about that, which is a beautiful thing, because it gives us the opportunity to learn how to utilize high frequency emotions and thoughts and words. And because everything does have a frequency and a vibration, it gives us the opportunity to distinguish what's high frequency and how we use that in order to bring up the lower frequencies that we are experiencing in our life. And all dis-ease, physical, mental, or emotional, is a low frequency vibration. So we can use that. So that's a great way for us to kick off this conversation. And since Jessica does have her hand raised, why don't we let Jessica ask her question?
Perfect.
Hi, ladies.
Hi there.
I'm wondering how you start a conversation with someone who has never heard of alchemical healing, never heard of energy healing, Reiki, quantum touch, any of that. Where do you start that conversation, and how do you explain the difference between alchemical healing and prayer, for example?
Great question. Great question. And Jessica, actually, the first suggestion I have was the example that Lily just gave about entrainment being a scientific thing that actually, scientifically, higher frequencies do pull up lower frequencies. And that, to me, it brings a lot of credibility to a conversation, particularly for people who are in that space of, they want the facts, they just want the information. As far as how healing is different from prayer, they run very similar, because prayer, depending on how you pray, prayer has the elements of bringing in gratitude and love and joy and bringing in those higher frequencies to help shift and change the lower frequencies. What say you, Lily?
Yeah, I would say prayer is a form of alchemical healing. And one way that you could start a conversation like that, and this really is to everybody, because I think all of us struggle with how we've been raised in families where religion has played a huge role. No matter where, right now, we are alchemizing a lot of religious programming on the planet. And so it would be typical for us to be in families where we have those that are very much in the conversation of religion and prayer, but don't understand that religion and prayer is also energy, because everything in the universe is energy. So when we look at the planet, if we look at Mother Earth and nature, let's say Mother Nature is full of alchemical healing codes. That's because all of life and the way that life is formed from the cellular level, there are codes. Everything is a code, the genetic code. So we could say that there are key codes within the genetic code. And so the elements, and if you could break it down into chemistry, you could really look at this from a very scientific standpoint. When we do alchemical healing, some of us can actually see geometry. We can see elemental kind of signs, like the chart of the chemistry. I forget what it's called, the chemical chart.
Yeah.
I sometimes see that, and I use the frequencies of H2O. I use the frequencies of a lot of the chemical substances. I will use frequencies of essential oils. I will use frequencies of flowers. Everything has a frequency and it's in the genetic code. And so if you can have a conversation with someone to get them to understand that everything that they witness in life can be brought down to the level of energy and frequency, then it's easy to talk about, don't you see the difference between the energy of love and the energy of fear, or the energy of joy and the energy of frustration? Those, how it feels for you. When you are feeling frustrated, that energy is a low vibration, and you can feel it. You can describe it because it feels dense. It feels heavy. It feels like, I don't think I want to be in this space very long. But if you're in the feeling of joy, that frequency is very high. And how you know the difference is because it feels good. It feels light. You want to be in that place. And so that's how we describe it as high and low. It's limiting in our language, but we live in a world of duality. And so we have to describe things as high and low and good and bad and right and wrong and up and down, because it's the way that we relate to in this three-dimensional space. So I'm not sure that the words high frequency and low frequency are actually accurate. I don't think that, for example, in the angelic realm, they talk about high and low frequencies, because in the angelic realm, there isn't such a thing as fear. So I don't think you have to talk about high and low frequencies. There's just love.
Yes, there are no low frequencies. No.
Exactly. So this conversation is really for us down here in this very three-dimensional dense world where we have to separate concepts so that we understand them better. I hope that makes sense.
I think
absolutely. And personally, I love to hear the scientific side of the discussion. But if I could take the question to an even more basic level, how would you explain a concept like frequency to my 4-year-old?
You know what? Your 4-year-old understands it without you explaining it to them. And I love the idea of explaining, within a radio format, that you can talk about tuning into a channel that actually works, that you can hear really clearly, and you want to tune into those. And for me, that's the example of tuning into love, to joy, to bliss, to any of those higher frequencies. And then when you're in those lower frequencies, that's in the area where it's static and you can't quite hear it, and you're kind of frustrated with what the information is, or trying to listen to a song or something like that. But at 4 years old, they absolutely understand it. And so it's more you wanting to give them the information that they actually already have.
Yeah. One way, I just thought of something that is kind of cool. If you could explain how there are waves in the air that we don't see, because we don't see air, right? We can see water, for example. And if you go to the beach and you experience the waves of the ocean, if you're a surfer, you're going to ride those waves depending on how fast they are, or depending on how turbulent they are. And if there's no waves whatsoever, you're not going to be able to surf. You might be able to do some paddle boarding, right? So depending on the frequency, those waves have a speed, they have a certain quality about them. And so you can ride those waves on a board. Now, the same way air also has waves, except we don't see the waves in the air. But a radio, like Bonnie pointed out, does perceive the waves in the air. That's how a song can travel from wherever it's being transmitted through waves in the air that we don't see, and that comes out through a box, and then we hear it. It's the same way how we communicate on a telephone. Our voice is traveling through waves that we don't see, but that's because we don't see air in the same way that we see water. So those waves that we see in the air are how you can ride the waves of energy and connect. So if you connect with the wave of love, you're going to feel that frequency of love. If you're connecting with the wave of fear, you're going to feel the wave of fear, and they feel very, very, very different.
For sure. For sure. Thank you very much, Jessica. I appreciate you asking the question.
Yes.
Great.
All right. Who else has some great questions to ask us? Put us on the spot. Come on. Bonnie's ready to be put on the spot. I know her.
So we actually have, Julie has been sending some messages here that she's really struggling with the low frequencies that are on the planet. And we have actually been talking about some of those. Julie, I suggest, in addition to listening to us tonight, that you go back and listen to the conversation on SoundCloud or on YouTube that we had last week and the week before, because we did talk about a lot about these frequencies that are coming in. And some of what is going on are these higher frequencies that are coming onto the planet, and our body that is filled with these low frequencies is going into some trauma and some challenge. And that's one of the reasons why Lily and I are doing a program on Friday. We're actually doing a program specifically about ascension and healing, because there are a lot of people who are in this space of being depressed and anxious and angry and fearful and in a ton of pain around these new frequencies. And so we are going to be doing this program on Friday. I'll type in the information into the chat so you can take a look at it. But by the time you get off the call, Julie, you will definitely have had a ton of healing and moving out more of those low frequencies, because I knew the minute I read it, I was like, all right, we're on that. So please know that we are definitely on it and working on it. So one of the things that we use when we do alchemy is we use Keycodes. And I love that Lily has actually already spoken a little bit about it. The Keycodes lightly relate to the numbers on a clock. And I love when people I see on Facebook, people are like, I keep seeing 111 on the clock or 222 on the clock. And I'm always like, wow, that's so cool. That's because that's kind of the beginner's version of Keycodes, right, Lily?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, and then the Keycodes expand from there, of course, if that was kind of like the kindergarten version of Keycodes, and numbers that alchemize fear and pain and unworthiness and unconsciousness and lots of low frequencies like that. And you also start taking it up a notch when you start doing geometrics and harmonics and numbers and letters, and it ends up, you know, as I've been privileged to be able to start seeing them, you know, sometimes it looks like Chinese characters or Arabic characters or characters that are from, it almost feels like previous languages, and there can be iridescence and all sorts of colors that are involved. But these Keycodes, each one of them, as Lily was just talking about, actually alchemizes and transmutes different low frequencies.
Yeah, and really how that works is that mathematics is the foundation of creation. So much of what we manifest in the world is based on mathematical formulas and geometrics. And so it's really the way creation is designed is through geometry and through mathematics. And so that's how we can use that. But it's the intention also behind the formulas that we're using, because Bonnie might have a key code for, let's say, manifesting a beautiful sunrise, let's say. She might want to manifest that for herself today. And I might use a different key code for that. Or there might be a physical condition like tiredness or fatigue, and I might have a different key code. So there's the intention behind that, because again, everything has a frequency, everything has a value to it, a formula to it. It vibrates, right? So that's what we call them key codes, is because they unlock. They're codes that unlock secrets to manifestation and secrets to life itself, which is one of the beautiful things about alchemy. And in fact, that's kind of the way that I discovered alchemy. I literally was led to it through, I was doing a meditation in theta healing, and I just, by connecting with my higher self, my essence, my soul said to me, we want you. And it is really interesting, because they did speak to me as a we, even though I thought it was just coming from my higher self, but we would like for you to learn alchemy. And they literally led me to a bookstore, and I found this book, and I learned in there all about how matter is made and how to connect with matter, how to align with the energy of matter, so that, let's say, for example, if you're wanting to heal a wrist that you sprained, you would literally pull up alchemically, you would pull up the formulas that Mother Nature uses, because our bodies are made from Mother Nature. We are made of the same matter that the earth is made of. So everything that comprises our body is made from the same material that is used, that the earth has. Otherwise, we couldn't live on this planet. So you would literally, with your intention, you would pull up material to repair a wrist that you've hurt or injured. And so you do that through intention, but you also do it by connecting with the material. Even you may not know what it is, your higher self does. Your essence knows what those formulas are. And so that's one of the beautiful things about alchemy, is that you're not going to know all the alchemy that you need forever and ever, but you're going to use alchemy based on your own frequency and how you have developed yourself, and what your spirit, what your soul is ready to develop as and to express in your life at this time and space, in this incarnation. And so it's really always very appropriate to you. And it's a matter of opening your eyes and expanding your consciousness so that you can experience it for yourself. Every single person on this call, whether you're listening to the call live or you're listening to the recording, every single one of you is capable of using alchemical healing to work not only on yourself, but also on your pets and your loved ones at whatever level your essence is showing you and allowing you to express itself. So that's really good news. And the more you use it, the better you get at it, and the more your frequency goes up. It's like the Akashic Records. The more you go into the Akashic Records, the more your frequency goes up, and the more your frequency goes up, the easier it is to get into the records and see more and have more access. It's the same thing with alchemy. The more you use it, the more your frequency goes up, and the more you're given more key codes and more ability to connect with the cosmos and with the planet and with the planetary systems and star systems, so that you can access that information.
And I love that you just added that extra piece in there, that it's really important for us to remind everyone that there isn't anything that Lily and I are doing that is special or unique to us. You know, I run into a number of people who are like, oh, well, you know, that's just because you can do it, or, you know, like I was born that way. And many people on this call have heard me tell the story about my daughter, who verifies that I have not been like this, you know, her entire life. She is 26 years old, so she certainly remembers a time just a few years ago when I was very normal. And so everything that Lily and I do is something that is available to you. There is nothing unique and special. We have just been kind of at the beginning stages of studying it, and now we're here sharing it with you to let you know that you can do all of this stuff too. So
yeah,
very cool.
Bonnie was normal only 3 years ago.
Yeah, Lily's been strange for a lot longer.
I've been unnormal for a little bit longer than Bonnie has.
It's been unnormal. So, Lily, I remember it's probably 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, that we actually had an upload happen. But you want to talk for just a minute about downloads and uploads, and does it matter which direction they go?
Sure. So just like we don't see waves in the air right here on our planet, there's also all kinds of frequency and vibration and energy that is in the cosmos, around the atmosphere of the earth, in our solar system, in the star system, cosmically, tons and tons of energy. And there's also energy. And remember, if there's energy, there's information. All energy carries some kind of information. So there's also energy in our planet, all the way to the core of the planet. And because our planet is actually inhabited by a sentient being whose name is Gaia. Some people call her Pachamama, but we call her Mother Earth, or we could call her Mother Nature. But I like calling her Gaia. And she's a sentient being, a spirit being, a life force that is also in a process of spiritual evolution and ascension, if you will. And so there's information in the core of the planet and throughout the planet. So normally when we do healings, we are bringing information from the cosmic realm, which is where again, our language is so limiting because we have to think about like where the Akashic realm is and where the ascended masters and the angelic realm, we kind of think of it as above somewhere, right? But again, that's because of our limited language. There's not really space. And just like there's not really time, these dimensions of space and time don't exist in these worlds, but that's how we refer to it. So when we ask for a healing from our healing team or from the guides and the masters and teachers that are helping us and assisting us, we normally experience them in what we call a download. And a download means that we're receiving information from above. Above meaning the Akashic realm or the angelic realm, or it could be straight from source creator, that we are getting a download. It means that we're receiving a healing. That means that our body is getting a healing through information that's being delivered and downloaded into us, just like a program. Everything, the way that we function is all based on programs. We are like computers. Like it or not, we really are like computers. And we are programmed in certain ways. We've been programmed since we were born and since we were children. And we've had programs since we were living lifetime after lifetime. So a download literally is like a program coming into us that is going to help us to either delete an old program that doesn't work for us, or to harmonize, or to bring in frequencies that will help us to alchemize low frequencies. And an upload would be the same thing, except that it's coming from the core of the earth. And that's why we would say it's coming up, right? Because it's literally coming up from the center of the earth. And an upload, to me, I would experience it always more like it's coming from the center of the earth. It's a gift from Mother Earth, coming from the center of the earth with information that we need for, in a material world, in the physical plane. So I hope that makes sense.
That was so awesome. Because as you were saying, I was just listening to you finish up, and I was like, Gaia, gift. And it was like, oh my gosh, here comes a gift for all of us in grounding more from Gaia. I'm like, wow, that's really cool. That come up, that we all have some additional key codes that have just been added to us, to our chakras, to help us feel more grounded, to feel more integrated. All of the frequencies that have been coming into the planet actually do include plenty of grounding and integration frequency, but sometimes you just need a little more boost. And so it's just like, well, as soon as you said that very last thing, I was like, oh, look at that. Gift.
Yeah, and it's really important for us to be grounded, because we've come here with some very important missions to raise our frequency, which we can only do in a body. And so it's very important for us to really embrace our body and our physical experience and know that it's all connected to what we're doing on a spiritual level. And so for some of us, I mean, I hear people say all the time, oh, I never want to come back. I never want to come back. Or I don't like being here. And it's really time for us to embrace being here. We're here through agreement. I mean, nobody forced you to come here. You came here because you agreed that this would be an excellent opportunity for you to raise your frequency, clear some karma, clear agreements from your past, and really move up a notch on the scale through enlightenment, which is, we're going to be talking about ascension on Friday, which is going to be a really amazing conversation. We're going to talk more about that, but truly we're here because we are all wanting to ascend into enlightenment, and how we do that is to raise our frequency. So it's time for us to embrace being in a physical body, loving our physical body, and allowing Mother Nature and Mother Earth to give us all the gifts. So yes, I love that gift, Bonnie. Thank you for letting us see that.
Hey, for you bringing it in. You talk about it, she's like, oh, here, have a gift.
Yeah. So I think we have time for one more question before we go into our messages. If anybody would like to raise their hand and give us another question.
So we actually have Isaac who asked what a good key code was for the brain. And I actually started answering it. But I love that it comes up like this, because there really is no good key code for anything that is like general like that. And people do often ask, like, well, you know, I have a pain in my side. What would you do for that? And it's like very personal and very specific for what kind of energy is being created, you know, in that pain. If it is a fear energy, you're going to use one kind of key code. And if it's a pain, or if it's based in abandonment and so many other details about it, you're going to get different key codes. And so you know, one of the practices that Lily and I have been doing over the last 1.5 to 2 years is really connecting with energy and being able to read each person's energy, because each person's energy is going to be very different. So, you know, something that Lily needs for her brain is definitely going to be very different from what I need. And that's no judgment. That's just, we have very different brains. And so it's just really what you call in. We have a number of people who are on the call who are learning alchemy and are like, just give me this information. And it's really trusting what comes in.
Yeah. And one great practice to do, and this you could do with any organ, and you can do it with all your organs. I practice this when I walk my sunrise, is I literally say, healing team, source creator God, download for me now the key codes that I need to raise my frequency as much as I can for every organ, gland, and system in my body. Help me, show me how to align in frequency at the highest level possible for me in this moment, in this incarnation, so that all my organs, all my glands, all my systems can be at the optimal performance now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And that's a really wonderful way to ask for whatever it is that you need, whether it's your brain or your heart or your lungs, your stomach, whatever system, your respiratory system, whatever system that you want. We want to bring vitality, and we want to bring youth into all our systems all the time. And the best way to do that is to ask and trust that if we go to source, if we go to our healing team, we're going to get the information and the key codes that are necessary so that we can be at the highest possible frequency allowed to us at this moment in this incarnation.
Yep. Yep, absolutely, Eileen. We just have to trust exactly the way Lily was talking about, which beautifully just moves us right into the message. And I started getting some of this information when Lily and I were still opening the records, and I luckily wrote down the 2 sentences was, it's always been there and we are the ones coming into knowing it. So the information that the angelic realm most wants us to understand, that source most wants us to understand in this moment, is that everything is exactly as it is meant to be, including the things that we cannot perceive, that there are more things out of the range of our perception than really things that are in the range of our perception. And I love this analogy because it allows us to think really humongous for what is going on with us. Like, as I have gained more information, more access to my own information, I have started to become more aware of gifts that I've been given. So that must be one of the reasons why the gift came in from Gaia, because that is, if you go back and listen to me from a year ago, you would not hear me saying that kind of stuff. But I've become more aware of those things that are going on around me. And so it's not that I have not been receiving gifts, or you all have not been receiving gifts from Gaia and from Source and from different members of the angelic realm, or heard your prayers answered. It is not any of those things at all. It is that they are out of the realm of our perception right now, that we just haven't quite reached that frequency, that awareness, that understanding of what is going on. And so, once we have more understanding and a more awareness, then we can start going, oh, okay. And it gets to be kind of, which came first? Did you trust that you were actually getting the gifts and getting the help that you requested? Or do you notice that you're getting the gifts and the help that you requested? So which came first? And it is, they really want us to connect with more trust and more awareness, more understanding, more belief that we're not sitting around making this stuff up. I love how it's just really simple, not profound, just really simple. We are not making this stuff up. Lily and I aren't making this stuff up, but you aren't making this stuff up either. When you sit down and you are just having one hell of a day, you are having a day that you're not sure how in the world you're going to get to the bed at night. There's just so many things going on, and you just feel stretched or pulled to your absolute limit, you can always take a moment and ask for help. And when you are willing to take a moment and ask for help, and it can be a brief moment, and it does not have to be in any certain format, or you need to stand somewhere or sit somewhere or hold your hands in a certain way. It can literally be help. and you know that there is help being given. It is being given to you immediately before you get to the P sound at the end of the word, that it is already there. And what is getting in the way of you knowing that is just these low frequencies that we've been talking about, these things that when you bring in more love, when you bring in enough gratitude, when you bring in enough joy and bliss and inspiration and illumination frequencies, the radiance frequency, when you bring in enough of those things, they automatically, as Lily was talking about, they're automatically lifting you out of the low frequencies that you're in. The analogy that they're giving me is a really weird one. I acknowledge it. It is like we are sitting in a big fryer. You know, those fryers that have all that oil in the bottom of it, and you always have the basket that you pour the French fries in, and then you lower the French fries down into the basket. And then when the fries are brown, you lift it out. And so they're giving me that as an analogy, that the oil is the low frequencies. We are all, there are days we feel like we're being cooked to a crisp in those low frequencies. But the higher frequencies, the love, the joy, the fun, the bliss, all of those things is like us lifting that basket out, and we stay out of that. Now, sometimes we feel like more oil has been added to it, that we are now, swimming in a lot more of that. And that is absolutely, on some level, the truth of what is happening, because there are always more low frequencies that are coming up, because we want to move them out. We want to clear them out, and we want to continue to have them bubble up to the surface so that we can come and move them out. And that's the reason why we do have this amazing process called alchemy, alchemical healing, energy healing. For me, it all shows up the exact same way, is because it is an opportunity for us to kind of back to the fat example. We're scooping away the fat, moving that stuff out, getting rid of it so that we can get to the really good stuff that is there. And the more we can trust that we are doing exactly what we are supposed to be doing, the more that we can just say, you know what, I know that this is exactly how it's supposed to be happening. Let me move through it. Let me ask for help. Let me bring some more love. Let me bring some more joy. Let me find some way to be grateful for what I'm going through, because as we can do more of that, we can start shifting things and changing things. And as I've been talking, there's been a ton of love and grace and joy and radiance and inspiration and those beautiful frequencies that have been swirling around each one of us, and really going in and finding what it needed to find to start to move more of that, so that you can have a little more belief and a little more understanding and trust in the process. So it's been beautiful. Thank you very much. Go ahead, Lily.
Wow. Well, as you were saying that, Bonnie, I started feeling that we're getting some downloads. Mm-hmm. Ooh, so there's, I'm really feeling I'm feeling those downloads that you just described, the love, the illumination, the brilliance, they're all coming through for every single one of us. So thank you so much, Bonnie. I do love the analogy of the fryer, because it really is, it's a great analogy. They are wanting us to really simplify alchemy for you. Because I realized, even when I was talking about the scientific piece of it, the entrainment and all of that, and talking about the chemical formulas and all of that, alchemy is really very simple. And they want us all to kind of like take a deep breath right now. Just take a deep breath. When you took a deep breath just now, there was a chemical reaction in your body. Alchemy is really just chemical reactions. And it actually, the word alchemy was used in medieval times to refer to those that thought they could change metals into gold, transform it. And then they started discovering the chemical composition of things. But really, like I was saying earlier, everything is energy and everything is frequency. So right now they want us to think about everything that's happening in our bodies is happening through a chemical reaction. And they don't want us to think about it in any other more complicated way than just get that piece. That everything, when you take a deep breath, when you eat something and you're digesting, when you're thinking, when your brain is functioning and thinking about memories, there's chemical reactions happening. Everything that we do, everything that we say, everything that we are processing in our bodies, from the minute that we open our eyes, and even when we're sleeping, because when our body is asleep, obviously, the heart is still thumping, the brain is still working. And so all of that is a chemical reaction. Now, a lot of those chemical reactions we think we don't have influence on, because a lot of them happen on their own automatically. We don't have to think about our heart beating. We don't have to think about our stomach digesting. It just happens, right? So what they're wanting us to do right now is to begin to understand that even though it looks like we don't have any influence on our heartbeat, that we actually do. And that is the simplest way for us to begin to utilize alchemy in our lives, is to begin to understand that even though it seems like our heart will beat by itself, and it does on a physical level, our heart is also the house for the feelings of emotion and the feelings of love. And so if we, with our intention, put love into our heart and allow our heart to express love to the world, we are literally changing the chemical reaction that is happening when our heart is beating. So they really want us to understand that this is the simplest way that we all can begin to utilize alchemy in our lives, is to connect with the systems in our body that we think we don't have control over. When we are eating a beautiful meal, we don't have to tell our stomach how to digest it. But if we eat that meal with gratitude, which is one of the things that was being downloaded when Bonnie was describing gratitude. If we sit in front of that meal and we eat that meal with gratitude, gratitude is a very, very high frequency that carries its own chemical reaction, just like everything does. So as we, with our intention, infuse that meal with gratitude, it literally will have an alchemical consequence in our stomach as our stomach is digesting that meal. So some of us, or most of us, have had the experience that we ate a meal, we ate it too fast, we ate it on the run, we ate it when we were angry, we ate it right after yelling at someone or right after someone yelling at us. And what happens? We have a stomach ache after we eat. So we do have so much more influence over the systems in our body, even when we think that they work on their own, which they do to a great degree. But our thoughts and our intention creates chemical reactions within all of those systems. And that is one of the simplest ways that they would like for us to start using alchemy, is by infusing words of love, thoughts of love, feelings of love. And when we do that, our heart will begin to pump blood in a different way, slightly different. The frequency of that heartbeat will increase. As the frequency of that heartbeat increases, the quality of the delivery of blood to every organ and every gland and every system in our body improves. It can't not improve. Can you imagine if you start really putting love into your heart and sending love molecules while your heart is pumping blood throughout your whole body? If you started sending love molecules to your lungs, through your blood, through the heartbeat, through every organ in your body, do you think you might live a little bit longer than if you just let it all go and let the anger and the frustration of life take over? Of course not. You can see that it makes sense. it resonates for us all when we think about infusing love into all our systems. So that's how they want us to really begin the practice of alchemy. And they are promising us, they're showing me a book and they're opening it up. And in this book, I'm seeing a window. That's kind of strange, but they're showing me a book that has a window in it. And they're moving the pages, and as the pages move, the window doesn't move. So it's like the window is interposed in the middle of the book, and I can move the pages, but the window stays still. I don't know if I'm describing it right, but this is what they're showing me. So as the pages of the book are like our life, as we're moving through our life, and we're observing and witnessing the writing of the life that we thought we designed or that we did design. But the window gives us an opportunity to see beyond what we've designed. It's beyond what we thought we came here for, and because we're always evolving. So we came here with a set of books, but we have the opportunity to alchemize everything that we've created and everything that we've manifested through our intention, and by infusing everything with higher frequencies of love and compassion and gratitude and devotion and adoration for the divine and unity and oneness. And so that window that they're showing me is kind of like, that's going to be there as an opportunity that we can always take. We move the pages of our life and we say, oh, wow, that's the circumstances of my finances right now. Or, oh, that's the chapter on my love life. Oh, that's kind of interesting. I don't think I really like that too much. Oh, that's the circumstances of my family. Oh, I think I might have chosen different parents, or whatever it is that we say. And now we have this window, and we can actually look through the window and create another opportunity, create another possibility, and remember that we've come through agreement and that we can infuse everything in our life with love and with understanding and with comprehension and with divinity and with harmony. And as we do that, the frequency of everything raises, and we actually begin to rewrite the pages on that book, which we can do. We have the power to do that. That is what alchemy allows us to do. Alchemy allows us to rewrite the pages of the programs that have been infused to us. They're telling me to slow down. They're telling me I'm talking too fast. And so I'm going to slow down and let all of you really just take that in for a moment, because it's really, really powerful. We are not stuck with the lives that we have. There is a window for us to go through to see another side of it, another aspect of it. And that is the most basic way that we can all practice alchemy. And as you begin to practice this, you will begin to learn more about the power of it in an exponential way. We all want to have those magical powers of being able to, let's say, have X-ray eyes to where we can see through walls. But it's a little premature to want to have those superpowers when we don't even think we have control over the way we can influence our heartbeat. So let's start with what is right here. Let's start with that body that we see every day in the mirror, that we take care of. Let's use alchemy to raise the frequency of this beautiful vehicle. And as we do that, our psychic channels will open. They can't not, because the physical vehicle holds the vibration for our psychic channels, for our clairvoyance and our clairsentience and our claircognizance. That's where it's held. So if we raise the frequency of our physical body, all our channels will begin to open. We'll begin to have that X-ray vision. We'll be able to hear what we couldn't hear before. We'll be able to feel what we haven't felt before in our loved one. We'll be able to communicate telepathically, because we'll have raised the frequency of our brain. We can change the chemistry of our brain through our thoughts. That's so amazing. And that's alchemy at its very, very basic level, that if we begin to practice daily, we make that a practice. We make that an intention to raise the frequency of our body. And then everything else will start to come into place where we'll begin to feel the powerful beings that we are, because we are creators. We've already created so much. We didn't get to this place where we are right now by being a slouch. We really came to this place by being a powerful creator. We just don't know it. We're not connected to that because we're told all our lives to be small, and we believe the lies. So that's what they really want us to do, is stop believing the lies that we're small, that we're little, that we have no power. And let's step into the smallest little things. Let's put the gratitude into the food that we're eating and send love to our stomach as it's digesting all that beautiful food we just ate. And let's put all that love into our heartbeat. Let's put the love into our lymphatic system, into our respiratory system. Let's take care of these bodies and honor them and raise the frequency and practice it every single day. And now downloads are coming for all of us to be able to step into that place, to really love our bodies. And that's the download that's coming in right now that I'm really experiencing. And I'm feeling a little bit shaky. And I just want to share real quick that just before getting on this call, I was feeling off. And thank goodness that I have Bonnie as my partner, because she was able to identify a box of crystals that I had in my head that needed to be activated. And now I know why, Bonnie. Now I know why. This is like so amazing. And I want to share those crystals with all of you. Tourmaline. And I just want to share them with you. It really helps to dispel negative thoughts and anything that keeps us from being a powerful being of light, able to create and manifest whatever we want. So I want to share those crystals with all of you. And I'm seeing a lot of tourmaline coming in now for everyone, Bonnie. It's so cool because you saw it. It's just so awesome. So, wow. So we're all going to be getting a really beautiful download to help us to step into the loving of our physical vehicles and the raising of the frequency of our physical vehicles through alchemy. How beautiful is that?
That's amazing. That's amazing. And I absolutely love everything you spoke about. I was busy taking notes. If anybody happened to see me and think that I wasn't paying any attention, I was paying so much attention. I actually have a whole bunch of notes. And I also I put in the group chat the link for YouTube, which is where this video is going to be posted later on tonight, and also the SoundCloud if you want to be able to listen to it there, to share it with other people. This is absolutely the most amazing phone call we have done. And I love that they just keep getting better and better every time. So we have talked about our Friday night program that we're having, Ascension and Healing. It is going to be this times 100, no doubt whatsoever, because there is going to be a ton of healing and helping people really understand more what is going on. We also have, I'm just put in the link for the Chakra Activation Series, which is Keep Your Chakras Clean. I am here to run an ad for your chakras, that we beat our chakras up on a regular basis. And you want to do whatever you can to heal them, to, upgrade them. We were just talking about crystals and increasing the frequency. You want to do that. So I want to encourage you to take a look at the Chakra Activation Series that we have. It is absolutely worth it, times 10 at least. Lily, you'd say times 100, right?
I would say times 100.
At least. But it is an amazing series, and you can actually listen to it as you're drifting off to sleep, and it's still going to work. Listen to a different one every single night. So next week we are going to be talking about it. It'll be interesting because it is Tuesday, September 11th. We are going to be talking about beings and foreign energy, welcome and unwelcome. We totally get the irony of having that call happen on September 11th. We certainly hope you will join us, because I have no doubt that there are going to be some amazing healing frequencies that are going to be coming in. Lily, did I miss anything?
No, oh God, I'm feeling this major download. It's just so intense. And I hope you all will just love yourselves. Just keep loving yourself. I'm feeling that so strongly. Keep loving yourself. Keep loving yourself. And we love you. Thank you so much for being here with us. Have a beautiful night. And hopefully we'll see you on Friday night. Come and ascend with us.
There you go.
Good night.
Take care.